run ads on Google or Facebook and just gotten nothing in return from it?
We spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in the real estate ad space, and so we want to help you not waste any more money on things that don't convert.
Yeah, so let's just get right into it. The first thing, Keith, that I see that's a really big problem is number one, setting the right expectations.
Yeah.
Let me just blow this myth for you right now, that lead generation and online leads, or wherever your leads come from, they are not the same as referrals. And
Say it again.
They're not referrals, and if you treat them as so, then you're gonna burn the lead and the opportunity.
Right.
You have not, with referrals, they already have that know, like, and trust factor with you, and you have to have the solid sales process and be able to build that know, like, and trust factor with strangers.
Right.
And so you have to build that process and build those skills so you can convert them properly. So that's super important.
Yeah,
straight out the gate.
For sure. And something else to kind of think about too is like running ads for yourself and for your business is not a quick fix. Like, do not run ads if you're desperate for business tomorrow.
Yeah.
The reality is like most of these leads won't convert for another 6 to 12 months.
And really, that's just the nature of the real estate sales cycle. Among all the sales cycles out there, real estate is one of the longest.
So true.
And so you have to, most agents know that, but then they don't take that same understanding when it comes to generating leads for themselves. And so really just take that mindset into it and know that it's going to take at least 6 to 12 months to really see the full ROI of a system.
That's so true. And really, no amount of leads is going to fix a broken sales process.
Wait, hold on. Say that again.
No amount of leads will fix a broken sales process.
It's really good.
And so really the point of ads is only to add fuel to an already successful business. And so if you're a newer agent or if you're struggling to close deals, like really what I would encourage you to do is focus more on organic methods of getting new clients. So Caitlin, could you want to kind of dive into that really quick?
Yeah, I mean, we'll probably do another video diving deeper into this, but really great organic methods is obviously referrals, reviews, and then also posting content organically in groups on social media. And so all those are free ways to really generate leads. And so those are things that I really recommend when you're first starting or you're struggling to use those methods that are free to build up cash flow to be able to really reinvest into things that are paid and more predictable. And so I also want to talk about number two. The biggest thing I've seen and we've seen with is like if realtors are running ads for themselves or using some basement marketer that doesn't know what they're doing. One of the biggest traps I've seen is people fall into is they lack, they don't test. They don't test different angles, different ads. And the reality is so many people are looking for that one magic ad that works in every market and in every price point for every agent. And it's just not the reality. And if it was, then everyone would be successful at it and be doing it.
Yeah, that's so true. And reality is a lot of agents specifically have run, 1 or 2 ads on Facebook, or they've, boosted some posts or something like that. And then they don't get results from it. And they're like, Facebook sucks for leads. But the reality is like, that's just not true. You just don't have, like the systems in place and all that stuff. So we'll get into that. But.
Yeah. And like the reality is too, I think it's important to understand the difference between branding and marketing. And so branding is about you and lead generation and marketing is about them. And so that you have to understand the difference about that because otherwise your ads and your campaigns will suffer. And really the success of a campaign, there's not, like I said, there's not one magic campaign that works for everywhere. It comes down to 3 core components. The first thing is your creative. So the video or the photo or the content that you're using. Number 2 is the ad copy, which is the text of the ad. And number 3 is the offer. And so if your ad is not producing the results that you want, one of those 3 things needs adjustment to make it work.
Yeah, for sure. And like my suggestion to you guys, if you're just starting out, like running ads for yourself or anything like that, like do market research and find your ideal client, and then from there run your targeting from that place. So like the goal of this is obviously to find and find your ideal client and what actually attracts them to the ad.
What is going to resonate with your ideal client? Something that I always say is what attracts a first-time home buyer versus a luxury buyer is completely different. Right. And so you have to adjust your campaigns to be able to speak to that person. I think that's a lot of times the mistake people make is they create ads based on what they would want to see, but you really have to get into the mindset of your client avatar and your ideal client and create it from their perspective. What value are they gonna get by clicking on your ad and giving their information? They need to have that sense of, I'm getting this is something that I need or that I want, so I'm going to give my information in exchange for that
value. Yeah, exactly. And that kind of goes into, the next like kind of mistake that we want to talk about. And this is like my favorite thing because I am like the systems dude at clicks geek, to closings.
Geek, a literal nerd.
But that's so let's go ahead and jump into that. So like, really, there's a saying, I'm sure you've heard it, but the fortune is in the follow-up. And that is so true. So really, like, the reality is like, you can literally have the best leads ever, but if you don't take the time to build out your back-end systems, you're going to fail.
Yeah, and one of my favorite sayings and favorite principles, and something that we use here a lot, is speed to lead. Yeah. And the reality is people, especially in our generation, have the shortest attention spans.
So true.
We're constantly consuming content, clicking on things, putting our information in. And so the reality is the quicker that you can get in contact with someone to when they fill out their information, then the more success you're going to have. Now, I mean, we recommend we do less than 5 minutes, but now, I mean, if you can get in touch with someone right when they're on your website or on your page, because they're in that mindset of taking action of what they just did.
So true.
Versus 3 hours later when they're picking up their kids or in another mindset, they're not going to want to speak with you. But when they have just filled out the information, their mindset is already on what they just did, what they filled out. And so that is the most likely time that person is going to convert into a conversation.
That's so true. And like nowadays, people forget. Like they honestly forget what value, like let's say they click on the ad, people forget, so you have to remind them. So if you can capture them within that first few minutes of them coming in, like they're gonna be like, oh yeah, I remember that. Like it's super important. That speed to lead is so key.
Yeah, and if you don't have time to do this in your real estate business, we really recommend finding and hiring and training an internal inside sales assistant to be able to do that for you.
For sure.
We do that for our clients, and so we've seen a huge increase in success just with people taking that off of themselves. If you're closing at if you're a high performing agent, you're not going to have time to do that. So it's always best to outsource that so that you can focus on what you need to focus on.
Absolutely. Yeah. And like really the next thing we want to talk about is like using all the channels to reach out to the leads. The reality is like the best performing channels are obviously phone call and text, but email works really well too, still to this day.
Yeah.
Are you surprised or not? But it's important that you use all those channels and yeah.
And really it's important to think about it in the sense of how would you want to be interacted with if you were clicking on the ad? What would you want to what text would you want to receive? What phone call would you want to receive?
Right.
And really the most responsive channels are going to be text and phone calls. So really prioritize those, but still, like you were saying, use all the channels that you have.
Right.
Prioritize text and emails and really think about the mindset of, what I want to receive. And the statistic now is that it takes about 8 to 13 ish touch points to take a person from a lead to a client. So sending out a couple texts and a couple phone calls doesn't cut it anymore.
Right.
So make sure that you are using the data of how much touch points it actually takes for a person to convert.
Right. And the next thing really want to talk about is like if you're reaching out to 500 leads 12 times, you need to track that. It's easy to keep up with like 20, 30 leads per month. Really not a big deal. But if you have those many touch points with 500 leads, like you're going to forget some information. And so what we suggest is like go in your CRM, make different pipeline stages so that you can easily and efficiently track the leads and where they are in the process. That's
really important because like you said, when you're having a full pipeline, like 500 to several thousand people, your memory is not going to be able to do that.
Right.
And so make sure you keep detailed notes of each conversation that you have. And something I like to do is that every conversation that I have with someone, every text that I send, every call that I make, I track that last activity. And then I also log what my next steps are for that lead. So like, what is my next step or next thing that I need to do to get them to the closing table?
Yeah.
Because you always want to be moving people closer to becoming a client or a closing.
Right. Yeah, that's so true. And something else that we've suggested to a lot of our clients and stuff like that, and just really anybody, is having like a power hour is what we call it. And it's just an hour of straight up calling leads in your database. And so we suggest making like 50 calls a day. And we've seen like crazy results just from that, you know?
Yeah. And it's crazy just because it only takes an hour.
Right.
Even if it's not a conversation of converting them, just ask them how they're doing.
Check on them. Yeah.
Check in on them.
Even if you have an ISA who's calling, your conversion rate is always higher than an ISA. So it's important that you make those calls and take that. It's only an hour a day, but that's producing money for your business.
Yeah,
you know?
And we have this one case where someone was, getting like 2 closings per month just by doing that.
Right.
Just by having 1 hour every single day set aside, and she did her calls to her database for from her leads that she was getting. She was closing 2 deals a month. Like, so it really can be so impactful. And so even if you're a busy person and stuff like that, you always want to stay in contact with your database. So that you can be growing your business consistently.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you guys for checking out this video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.
And then also, we're going to be dropping value like this every single week. So if you're a hungry realtor that wants to really improve your marketing, sales, and systems, go ahead and ring that bell notification so you get notified. All right, we'll see you soon.
See ya.